Hi, I am Kevin McKidd. I am here in Paris at the FR Conventions. Yeah, it was 15 years ago. The Iraq War was still ongoing, so it's very relevant. And I took a real responsibility to make sure I spoke to a lot of veteran surgeons, trauma surgeons who'd worked in the field and read quite a lot of books and documentaries to try and get a feel for that. And yeah, I'm proud of it. I'm proud of the character and the story he was telling. It's quite provocative. It's almost in his first few episodes, he strangles Christina because he was having this night terror, and very provocative stuff that I think, if not handled well by the directors and by Shonda, it could have really, made the audience go, no, we don't want to watch this guy. But I think it's been a testament to Shonda Rhimes that she really is stuck with the character and gone, we want to tell a story about a veteran with real psychological damage who manages to, in his own flawed way, live a really productive life and have a family and have a career and all these things. I think it's an important message to put out into the world that, even if you've been through those kind of PTSD traumas, that you can build a life for yourself that you can feel good about. Yeah, Sandra, I've always loved working with really strong, powerful actresses, and I think I work well in that environment, and Sandra's one of the best actors working today. So when we met, and I know that she had a desire to meet, I'm a trained theatre actor, that's where I come from, and I think she wanted somebody that really had a training that she could bounce off and work with, and I think we hit it off. We're still close friends to this day, and we're always looking for projects to do together. And I think I was proud of the dynamic and the sort of intensity that Sandra and I managed to build together in the relationship of Christina and Owen. I think it became quite an iconic, quite provocative at times, relationship that asked quite big questions of people. And they weren't an easy couple to watch sometimes on TV. I think a lot of the time it's safer to write couples that are squeaky clean and cuddly and perfect and pretty. And Christina and Owen were not cuddly or perfect, or and they were more jagged. And I think it's a harder route to go down on television, but I think it was really worth it, and I'm really proud of it. I remember when they were shooting that, they all went up to Big Bear to shoot it, and I was the chief. And it's a hard one because Owen obviously consciously didn't know that some of those budget constraints that it's so funny, like now looking at it, our whole TV and entertainment industry is going through this massive contraction and budget constraints, and there's been some hard decisions have to be made. So it was weird that was what was happening on the show. There was all these budget. Remember, there was like the budget was under question, and so yeah, I think in a way, Owen, being this quite moral person, probably beat himself up unfairly on himself. I think he was under a lot of pressure to make those kind of budgetary decisions, and for that to play out in such an awful, horrific, tragic way. I don't think he'll ever be able to shake that. I would like to see him revisit that and try and unpack that, and try and exercise some of that guilt that he carries around, for sure. Yeah, I remember when Sandra decided she was leaving, she told me, first person she told was Shonda and then me. She said, look, I don't know what your plans are. And then Shonda called me and said, look, I want to meet for lunch. And she said, look, and even though Sandra's leaving, we want you to stay on the show. And I said, well, what does that look like? And she said, we don't know yet. I think pretty quickly, as soon as Sandra left, they started to build this relationship between Amelia and Owen. And I think they had a really good relationship that sort of, the brain tumor sort of, popped that relationship. Sometimes I wonder if it popped it a little too soon, but we'll never know because she had a brain tumor. So poor Owen, it's like, oh, she only married him because she had a brain tumor. It's like I feel bad for Owen sometimes on that one. But they had good chemistry while it lasted. I was really happy for him. I think he's always wanted to be a father, and then it finally happened. Now, her pregnancy, Teddy's pregnancy, was obviously complicated because for a period she wasn't saying, or they didn't know who the father was. There was all that complication and secrets around it. So I always have this secret desire that Teddy and Owen should have one more kid that's really conscious and not filled with drama, that is a really beautiful decision that they make together instead of something that's filled with drama and secrets. But yeah, I think it made Owen feel like he was whole in a sense, you know. Favorite moments, so many favorite moments. I mean, when our child was born, that moment in the delivery suite, those scenes, where Teddy and Owen finally hold their child, was beautiful. I think when Owen goes to her in Germany before he messes things up and says too much, I think it was a really fun, beautiful episode. I directed that episode. I'm really proud of that. I think there was a sequence of scenes where they sat on a little bench outside a window looking at the snowfall and reminiscing about life. And I just remember thinking, originally that scene was written at a dining table, and I said, no, I had this picture in my head of that body language of them both kind of cocooned in this bay window watching the snowfall in Europe and Germany and reminiscing about their life. And I think that was a really magical kind of moment for Teddy, and I hope they can get back to that, I think it's impossible. I think they're so connected. I don't know where it's going to go. I personally think they're going to end up back together, but I think they're going to go through a period of some kind of separation after what happened. This kind of misguided experiment about an open marriage has not gone well for them. So I think it's going to take a while to heal. They probably both have to take a step back and reassess. But I do think they've been through so much. Personally, I think they're ultimately where they'll both end up. But I think they need to both go through another chapter, maybe without each other. But they'll always be with each other because they have kids, and that always connects people. But I think there's going to be a period of that. But I ultimately think they're going to end up back together. I'd like to see Owen. It's been a while since Owen has had a real mentor. I think the last one really was Sarah Drew's character, they became very much the kind of dynamic duo in the ER. She became very involved in trauma surgery, and they ran the trauma center together. And then, so I think Owen's kind of secretly kind of yearning for that spark of a mentor-mentee, find an intern that really loves trauma, and for Owen to really bring them up. And for that, to see that bond happen between him as a teacher and teaching an intern who's really talented in trauma.